everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. My name is Fariba, and today we got this really lovely gift from Universal Pictures, and that is a Fast X trailer. I believe this is now the second official trailer that we've gotten from them, which makes a lot of sense because I believe the movie comes out May 19th, which is about less than a month away. So what better way to really get people hyped, to get people to buy tickets, than to release a final trailer for the movie. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Fast X, we really got a pretty good idea what the film's going to be about. The first trailer did give a pretty good impression of how, you know, explosive and epic the movie's going to be in terms of its action sequences as well as the villain. We know that Jason Momoa is going to be playing the villain in this film. One of the things we also know is that his character happens to have a deep connection to a previous Fast and Furious villain, which happens to be raised from, you know, Fast 5. So this is kind of a case of the past coming to haunt, you know, Dom and his family. I think they even showed a glimpse of the fact that Dom's son is going to be kidnapped. So we already got a gist of what a lot of the story is going to be about. We saw snippets of it in the first trailer. One of the things I'm expecting that this trailer is going to be more focused on is the family aspect, because I think the first one really showed more of who Jason Momoa is as a villain, kind of setting up the menacing side of who he is. I mean, I will say like he was a pretty good villain just from the moments that we did see in that trailer. Like, I mean, he looked like he was owning that role. So that first trailer really did good for Jason Momoa and showing his side as a villain, whereas as we all know of him as Aquaman, who is a superhero. So it's kind of interesting to see sort of that antithesis between his characters. But not just that, but also one of the things I'm hoping that this trailer will be more focused on is the family aspects. I think they did show a couple of aspects in that, you know, in the first trailer for it, but I think this one is definitely gonna be a bit more deep into that. I think that they're gonna be much more focused on that aspect in this trailer. Other things I'm expecting is to see a bit more of Brie Larson because, you know, she's one of the newer characters in this film. I believe it has been revealed as of this point that who her character Tess is, like the fact that she is the daughter of Mr. Nobody, who is a CIA agent that we saw in previous movies before, has worked with Dom and his family quite a bit. So yeah, I think as of this point, it's just setting up the stage of what this film is going to be about. We already kind of get the gist of the action is going to be. It's pretty, you know, high scale. It's a pretty high caliber. It's the action sequences that we've seen so far. Like, I mean, I think the first one really showed like this really explosive car chase sequence with the helicopter and that was really, you know, nonsensical in a way, but also like very intriguing. So I'm gonna assume that we're gonna see more of that in this trailer and see how much more full-blown action we're gonna see. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right down into the Fast X trailer.
You know, we'd already beat that woman
they're playing Gasoline.
on wheels. You see me shining, baby. We're locked inside. That's a trap. That's a bomb.
All right, dorks, what are we blowing up? What? The Vatican? Wow, you guys are going to hell.
No way. What? How do you even just put that in the middle of Rome? Okay. Okay.
The great Dom Toretto. If you never would have gotten behind that wheel.
Okay, so we already knew about that
I
part.
am today. And now, I am the man who's going to break your family. Piece by piece.
The devil's coming.
Interesting.
Boom.
Huh. Cypher with Dom.
Tommy, I knew you would come for me. So how about we all just start shooting each other? Time to end this.
Alright.
Dig some graves.
Of course, yeah.
You are not to be trusted.
Hey, you ain't on my Christmas list either.
Cavalry's here.
Cheers. We need weapons and cars.
Cannon cars.
Do you like surprises? I adore
Oh, they're working together. Okay.
I'd stay down if I was you.
You'll need to hit me harder for that.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
The game's over, Dom. You lose. This is your last ride.
We're going back to street racing.
Then you might want to buckle up.
No! Oh. Oh my god. Yeah, that was the Fast X trailer. Basically what I had anticipated this trailer was going to be about. It was going to be full blown. It's going to give us a little bit of alliances, even more of a deeper insight into the villain, all that sort of stuff, right? Like, it's everything I expected this trailer to be, but it was really fun and exciting to watch. And again, it makes me hyped to see the film itself when it comes out in May 19th. So yeah, let's really dive into it. Of course, like, as I suspected, this trailer was going to be a bit more deep into sort of showing more of the, the dynamics, the relationships, the alliances. We see far more of that this time around than we did in the first trailer. As I said before, the first trailer, I think they really were focused on really giving us the image of who the villain is. I think this one sets the idea of, okay, what the stakes are for everyone. And again, like what they're going to have to do to kind of, achieve their goals and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, in this one, we see like, Jason Statham is back as playing Shaw, I believe Deckard Shaw in this film. I think we also got like a bit of him, like a little glimpse of him in the first trailer. So we already knew that he was going to be in this film, but this one definitely showed a bit more of a deeper, longer clip of, his involvement in this movie. We already got a tension between him and, Dom's family because we already knew what happened. I believe it was like Fast 7. Yeah, there's so many of these films, but yeah, we already know what about that. It does give me a lot of questions about, why he's involved, whether we're going to actually see some other characters like Vanessa Kirby's character or Luke Evans' character, because they are, part of the Shaw family. We do see Helen Mirren in this film. I don't know how much is going to be in this film. So questions about that. I think she ends up meeting Dom in Rome from what I believe was the scene. But yeah, I think that we do see a lot more of this dynamic. We see bits and clips of John Cena as Jape again. Wonder how, he gets caught up in this whole thing. I mean, I guess like the fact that, Dom's son does get kidnapped, that he has to come out and, help him out. So I guess that's probably where we're going to see sort of the subplot being set up. Other things I saw is that, they definitely show far more of the full-blown action sequences that we're going to be expecting out of this film. I mean, it really starts off right off the bat with just this huge, gigantic ball that's just, ruining the streets of Rome, which is, well, yeah. But again, it's pretty ridiculous and really absurd. But I mean, wow, like, again, it gives you a sense of how villainous, how vengeful Jason Momoa's character is. I think even this one, they still make the stance of like, okay, this is Jason Momoa's villainous side. Like, he is this really deadly character who is very upset, and we still see that throughout in this trailer as well. We even get snippets of him even in the street racing aspects, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, like, we really get the sense of how upset he is, how menacing he is as a villain, and that continues to be kind of this trend here in this trailer as well as we saw in the first one. Another thing that I would have to talk about is that ending, like the end of that trailer with the sequence where we see Dom, driving off on the Hoover Dam, or just a dam. The fact that we see these two trains just kind of, about to hit on, Dom and his charger, and then, Dom just somehow is able to circumvent that and jumps over the dam and just somehow rides through. Like, it's a typical, absurd action sequences that we get from the Fast and Furious series, but it makes sense, right? I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy those aspects. It definitely makes me kind of like wonder, like, okay, these are definitely not, meeting the laws of physics. Like, it's really defying the laws of physics. And I mean, even with that sense, like, I mean, I'm still enjoying them without a doubt. I think the action sequences are what really makes the fun of the Fast and Furious franchise. So we do get a sense of that as well in this one. Other things I've also noticed is that even though, like, we've seen how much the Fast and Furious series has grown and changed since the first film. Like, I mean, let's be honest, like, we all know that the Fast and Furious series just started off as just being about street racing, and now, you know, this whole franchise has now really grown up to becoming more about superheroism, espionage, saving the world, all that sort of stuff, right? Like, really of a huge jump of to things of what we expected this franchise to be about. But even with that being the case, like, we still get a sense of in this trailer how it's really showing the more nostalgia and the groundwork of what was basically the heart of the Fast and Furious series, which is, again, the street racing. And we do get a glimpse of that in this trailer, where we see, you know, Dom and Reyes, his brother, you know, racing on the streets, and we get a far better glimpse of this in this trailer than we saw in the first one. So it's really nice that they are dedicating a lot of, you know, heart into going to the nostalgia of the series, what really set up the basis for it. I believe even the director himself has said that they want to really bring back street racing into this film, which is great because I feel like that was missing for a lot of the last few movies that we've had so far. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're gonna see cars, of course, like, it still has the cars are the big part of the Fast and Furious franchise and still becomes a part of the big part of it. But I mean, it's nice to see a bit more of like the street racing that really set up what the franchise is about, right? So definitely got a glimpse of that. I hope that even with this, like, from what we learned today, of course, the Fast, I believe they had just cast or, you know, recruited who they're gonna, you know, choose as a director for Fast and Furious 11. Because Fast and Furious 11 supposed to basically the closure of this whole series. I think Fast X is supposed to be like this one of two-part finale of this whole franchise that's supposed to be ending off very soon. And I believe Universal Pictures has decided to stick with Louis Leterrier to not just do Fast X, but to continue off and conclude the whole series with Fast and Furious 11. So that was definitely some big news that we heard earlier today. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see kind of how this film will set up its closure. Like, I mean, this is the beginning of the end, of course. Does this mean that we're going to see Jason Momoa continue off as a villain? I don't know. Like, will he be a villain for even Fast and Furious 11? I'm not sure. We'll see when we go and watch Fast X. But yeah, I mean, having seen this trailer again, it really sets up like the high caliber, explosive sort of pacing that we're getting out of this film, that we're probably going to be getting out of this film, and still keeping up with its big themes of, you know, family, cars, and, you know, traveling across the world and all that sort of stuff. And that's going to be some really fun aspects to see when we see Fast X. Some things that I thought was a bit intriguing, of course, is, for one thing, we do see Cypher more in this one as well, who is played by Charlize Theron. There's even one snippet where we see Dom and Cypher together, so makes me assume that they're going to be working together again temporarily. Don't know what that's going to imply, so definitely have questions about that. There's even one part in the trailer that it's like very quick, and that is we see, you know, Cypher and Letty together. So we saw later on this trailer that, you know, Letty and Cypher are fighting against each other. We actually got snippets of that back in the first trailer as well, so it's not like this is anything too new. But the fact that we do see an earlier footage of them working together, like, it definitely goes back to kind of some of the trends that we see with these films, where it's like, even though we have these villains, they eventually do somehow turn to the good side, or they, you know, eventually become allies with the heroes and all that sort of stuff. And that seems to be the case here. Don't know, again, kind of how Cypher would play into this. I think that right now she's kind of the wild card a little bit in this film. So definitely questions about that. The fact that, again, we see this footage of her working with Letty, I wonder what, I mean, I'm going to assume that they're trying to escape from the prison that they're in. So that's probably what it's about. So, but we'll see again kind of how Charlize Theron plays into this film as Cypher, and how she contributes, you know, how her character contributes into the storyline itself. So yeah, I think that really basically sums up what we got from this trailer. Again, it's once again action-packed, very explosive, very full-blown. Again, once again showing off Jason Momoa as this villain, giving us the vibes of him. Again, his magnetism as a villain is kind of off the charts. I gotta say, he is really owning this role. Like, he's having a lot of fun with it, which I really love out of this, you know, out of how he's really showing his performance in this film. Again, we get the dynamics of this film, the family themes that has always been a big part of the Fast and Furious franchise. We see more of that here. We see more of like cars. Again, we see more of the cars in this one, of course. And yeah, I think that really sums about what this trailer has shown us. So I can't wait to see when this movie comes out on May 19th. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this trailer. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you excited to see Fast 10? What are your thoughts about it, having seen this trailer? What do you think about the action sequences that we've seen so far? What do you think about the alliances, the rivalries? What do you think about those aspects? What are some things that you thought kind of shook you a little bit, like you didn't expect those, maybe surprised you a little bit, or you thought maybe you kind of expected this? And let me know what your other thoughts are about the film and that you got from this trailer. I think that's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe.